They say winning ain't everything. Well, we don't have them type conversations over here, man. Had that conversation with the losers. We trying to win at everything we do. Even in the loss, we don't see defeat. We see a lesson learned. Straight up. Look, I came into this world in 1978. The doc looked me in my face and knew I was something great. 45, 42 Prescott, that's where I'm from. Grew up in the slums around dope dealers and bums. As humble as I was, I adapted to my habitat. In my own lane though, far from where they crashing at. Dumb bar graduate, the game I done mastered it. Served in the Navy, look, y'all don't know the half of it. Pops passed in '01, moms passed last year. I know they up in heaven smiling down, crying mad tears, cause they son making it. No telling where I'm taking it. My city been cursed, but I feel that I'm breaking it. Coached at Wayne High in 15 in one state. Seen the fork in the road and went straight. I know what I'm worth, I'm OG King Kirk. Brooklyn Nets gaming crew legend, let's work.
Hello, this is OG King Kurt, your host of the OG 2 Cents podcast. I want to say thank you to everybody who tunes in each and every Sunday. I truly appreciate it. I want to give a special thanks to Dave at the 2K Zone, Schreider Visuals, and Box Graphics for sharing my vision with the OG 2 Cents podcast. I always start out the intro and preventing the spread of the coronavirus. Make sure you're washing your hands, cough into your elbow, face, don't touch it. Social distancing, make sure you stay at least 6 feet away from from anyone in any specific area. And if you're feeling sick, please stay at home. Something recently that I've been, it's a show that I've been on for like 2 weeks now. I haven't really said anything about it on the podcast, but it's Esports Extra. And it was something that host Larry Ridley basically gave me an invite to come on for an episode. And I've been here ever since. So it's an esports show mixed in with sports, real life sports as well. You can catch that every Sunday from 5 to 7 and Wednesdays and Thursdays from 7 to 9. It's host Larry Ridley, behind the scenes, Coach K. I'm part of the crew along with Derwin Worrell and Eric Smith, aka Black Phoenix, and Ashley Leotis from time to time. So make sure you check that out when you get a chance. It's on twitch.tv/compete forever. And make sure you tune in and catch that. It's a pretty good show. This episode, this Sunday, is episode 13. It's your presence or presence. It's something that has been on my mind heavy here and there. It's, it's from real life experiences and also people who have, talked to me about different situations that they've been in their life. So I won't necessarily get into details, but a lot of times we're going through things together and we don't even know it. It's, the presence or presence. Basically, I've had some experiences from time to time where, just you being around particular people can uplift you and motivate you and give you everything that you need or that you feel like you need in order to make it. And those are the type of environments that you want to be in and that you need to be in. And then it's the presence part, or basically, it's some people that you may encounter that only want you around when you're of benefit and you can fulfill their needs and wants and whatever. And so that's pretty much what this episode is about. For me, it's I have a lot of people that have played a significant role in my life, and like I said, their presence was everything for me. This even dating back from when I was in, junior high school, going into high school. I played sports, um, primarily basketball by the time I got to high school, but like two individuals that really, man, that as a kid, outside of my mom, dad, and family and different things like that, but Johnny, Johnny Faison and Big Harry were two figures for me coming out of the seventh and eighth grade and going into high school. They pretty much followed all the youth sports, all the high school sports. Um, I went to Paul Laurence Dunbar High School, and like they took a strong liking to me and my brother as a going in as a freshman, and they were like father figures. Like um, they didn't coach. Um, Johnny at the time he kept the stats for the varsity basketball team, but he wasn't a coach or anything like that. But he actually and let me stop saying that. Like he was a coach in life. Like I mean that's where I appreciate him the most. He helped my thoughts and actions and a lot of different things because sometimes when you're growing up, uh, when as a kid, you don't confide in every you don't always feel comfortable telling your parents about every little thing or and all of that, which is I didn't really have a problem with it, but it would be times where things would arrive and I wasn't around my mom or dad, so I would talk to Johnny and Big Harry, and a lot of times, like after games in high school, that we would go out to eat and talk about a lot of different things. Um, they basically was from been with me. Johnny's been with me since eighth grade and still in my life now. Big H, unfortunately, he passed away some years ago. But basically, like when I say presence, like I knew that they were going to always be there at the games. I knew we was always going to hang out after the games, uh, especially during basketball. See, I knew we was going to always go somewhere to eat, and he just took me in like like another son, and he had a son, and we actually went to school together and stuff like that. Johnny did. Big H, I don't think he had any kids, but it was like every kid that he came in contact with through athletics or anything like that was like a son of his or a daughter of his. Like he was just a good guy, and those are the type people when I speak on like presence. It's like that's what you need, and I have a long list. Those are just two people in particular that I know coming up as a youngster. I always look forward to seeing them and how they, made me feel, uh, and going it through, especially your teenage years. That's a defining moment for most people. So, like I said, I learned a lot. We talked about a lot, and two people I'll never forget, man. Uh, they just were the value of having people in your life like that is irreplaceable, and I'm appreciative for that. Um, like I said, I still talk to Johnny from time to time. I still get advice from him now. He still, he always open and honest. Never never held back from anything that he wanted to say to me, or he felt like it was something I needed to hear. And so I'm grateful for that. And I know if Big H was here, he would be the same way. Like, I mean, it's just always straight up, and I appreciate them for being like that. Uh, you know, when I got to high school, um, you know, uh, the coach, Thomas Applegate, was another figure like that. Basically, he did any and everything for me and any of his players or anybody that he came in contact with. I mean, he was a great guy. Uh, I spoke about him before. Um, just a heart of gold. Lived in the neighborhood. Like I said, white man lived in a predominantly black neighborhood, and just gave his heart to the high school and to the kids and everybody he coached. And uh, unfortunately, like he's not here in the flesh anymore. But like I said, another person whose presence in my life uh, guided me uh, to basically who I've become as I've gotten older. So it's people like that that you need to be on your side as you go through this thing called life, and their experiences and their knowledge and willingness to love and care and help you is, like I said, it's irreplaceable. It's priceless. It's uh, it's just a great thing. Like I say, I get a good feeling even thinking about it. Even for the people that's here and not here. So that's pretty much like when I talk about presence. Um, it's just one of those things where like people need that. Like because like I said, everybody wants to be cared for, wants to be thought of, wants to be loved. Kind of leading I like a quote that I got, my lovequotes.com. Your presence will always mean more than any presence could. And basically, those are just a few. Like I said, the list is long, but those are just a few people who impacted me just by their presence and always being there for me. Now, the tricky part is when I get to talking about presents, like gifts under the tree. And it's pretty much more like people who only want you around when you can, based off what you can do for them. Not a good feeling. Uh, Definitely something that I don't feel like should, you know, people are who they are. And sometimes I don't hold any anything against anybody for doing what they feel like they need to do to fulfill themselves. Because unfortunately, that's the world. Like, I mean, people do what they need to do to make it, and sometimes you find yourself not on the winning side of that. I just think about lately in my life, like in dealing relationships and dealing with people and women and different things like that. I find myself like I run into women who's exhausted of being that person that was for that was in the presence of somebody who may not have uh, giving them what they wanted in return, or they feel exhausted from doing more than their companion. So by the time I find myself like running into them and talking to them or whatever, it's it's like they're so tired that things just don't mesh. And basically, they were somebody's present. Like they were doing everything, buying everything, or taking care of everything, and now they're just so tired that uh, basically either they don't have time to deal with you, or they become, or they become a present to you, and before you know it, you're exhausting yourself trying to do everything that you can do for them to make sure that they're okay. And at that point, it's like it's no balance, um, and that gets tiresome in itself when you're always the one that's doing and doing and doing and doing, and you never feel like you get that in return. So then it's just like being taken for granted, and we all know how that goes. Eventually, when somebody wakes up after being taken advantage so long, that it's it's another failed relationship. Or sometimes things fail before they even get started because, like I said, after a while, you recognize things and you pretty much dead it before it even starts. So um, that's some things that I've experienced. The funny thing about it is like something that I've went through, and like living in two different cities, uh, 6 months in Ohio, 6 months in New York, is that uh, you start to look at things different because, like, some people, uh, they look at that and it's like I've talked to some women, and it's like we live in the same city and we from the same area, and I probably don't even hardly see them, but some the first thing or you'll hear is that, "But how come out to New York though?" Or like, and then it's like, well, if I ain't good enough for you to see when we in the same city, then why would I want you to come out to New York with me? And you just hear all kind of different things. And no, I'm not making it seem like I'm all that or anything, because I'm definitely not. Like, I'm just a hard working uh, man, just trying to make an honest living, and be able to take care of myself and those around me that I need to take care of. So I'm definitely not making it seem like that, but it's just interesting to how people's mindset, how they operate, and it's like sometimes if you see things, or if you call it out or whatever, then you all of a sudden you become the guilty one. Um, so it's just and I don't really have like a lot of tragic uh, things to say about anything like that, because most of my life has been positive and filled with more presence than the actual, you know, presence that I was talking about. So I'm not gonna ride that wave for too long, but it happens, and I'm sure it happens to people, way bigger than and beyond me. And it's just about learning, like, the value of somebody, just of somebody recognizing what you're worth to them and how much you mean to them, and that sometimes you just being around uh, is enough. And if you are willing to help in time of needs, or you can help in times of need, that's fine. But it's truly, I mean, I know I can't be the only one to literally, I can be in the dumps, or I can be down about something or thinking about something, and that you get that text or you get that phone call or whatever from certain people, and it's just like it just changes everything. And it's like, that's a great feeling. And then sometimes on the other side of things is you get that call from somebody who you think, they just want something, or they just need something, or and things like that. And it's just like, you know, uh, then sometimes you answer it and you get a surprise, and they don't want nothing at that particular time. But uh, just those are just some of the realities of life that I'm sure, like I said, people bigger and beyond me deal with or have dealt with. Like I said, it's not a lot for me, but it's definitely something that's happened. Um, I'm a regular human being that's in the pursuit of happiness, and in doing that, happiness and embodies a lot of different things. For me, I think about it as like, as you got career, you have companion, you have family, um, and of course yourself. So I think I look at those four things, and it's like if you if you have pretty much those things complete, um, you're in great shape. Then most of the time, things are built off of that. I mean, if because a lot of it. Now, I didn't say that in no particular order, because a lot of how the way you feel about yourself comes from you, whether the decisions that you make or you didn't make. So, like when I say yourself and career, it's like, how well have you taken care of yourself and doing what you needed to do, um, to put yourself in position to have a career or sometimes a job, because you're capable of taking care of yourself with both, um, essentially. So it's like, what did you do to put yourself in position to be able to take care of yourself and have what the type of income that you need to be happy with yourself, but then also, um, is about, um, having that ability to be able to complete somebody else. And that's when the companion aspect of it uh, truly comes somewhere in there, where it's about, if you can be happy with yourself, then your presence to that person can be more impactful, and you don't become a present. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of times people are in situations, and it's not always so, things happen in life, but I think initially, like, between people, you kind of want balance. You don't always want to have to. Nobody wants to be uh, that has to carry the weight all of the time. Like, you just don't, whether that's male or female. And I think, uh, having to do that, like I said, it exhausts you, and it comes to a point where it's like, man, I'd rather just be by myself and just deal with myself. And that, I think, from what I see on social media, excuse me, and that's not always like, it's not, of course, most of the time on social media, you're only looking at your timeline. Like you're not looking at everybody's in the world timeline. So I see a lot where a lot of people are just choosing to be by themselves. Just simple as that. Like because it's easier. Because then you don't have to worry about being somebody's presence all the time. And if you can't tell by now, the whole thing with presence is like that's the good of you just being in somebody's life and being impactful. The presence is like, man, it's like the use and abuse state where somebody always looking for something, or you got to be a benefit to be around, and that's what makes you attractive. That's the attraction for you. So just keeping that in mind is like, um, like I said, it starts with self, and and then if you can get yourself together, then you can be that presence for somebody and to be able to look after them, and then vice versa if they're doing what it takes be to be to be good, and to feel the way that they want to feel and need to feel by themselves, then they can be the same to you. And I think that's what completes people. Whether when you decide to get into a relationship or anything like that, is people have to come into it whole with themselves, and in that way, like that's when that whole presence of you just being there and then being in somebody's life definitely makes a difference. And you're not looking at what that person can offer you or do for you, off just off the rip, just not even valuing who they are as a person, just looking at them as more of an asset. And like I said, that's not always negative, but there are people who, like I said, they pretty much use and abuse. And that, like, it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, it's life. Like I said, it happens. Like I said, you just don't want to be on the losing side of that too much, but it happens, and you kind of want to do what as much as you can to avoid that. So definitely, like I said, your presence will always mean more than any presence could. And for some people, that may be true. For some people, for others, they'd rather have the materialistic uh, value from somebody, or what somebody can do for you monetarily and things of that nature. Then and I put it in a relationship setting, but it can happen in any type of setting. It can be in business and or anything. I mean, people get it taken advantage of all the time, and some people know that they're being taken advantage of, and some people don't. I mean, because regardless of what people want to believe, it is still people out here with pure hearts and souls that really is all about helping uh, the next man or next woman. So it gets discouraging from time to time because some people are not like that, and that's not what they stand for. So it does it puts pressure on people who are trying to do the right thing and trying to help, trying to love their neighbor and do things that make it a better world. But then there's a lot of takers out here that take advantage of that, and it makes it tough for people, that's trying to be good. And some people at certain points in their life, they get um their heart turned cold, and they pretty much, it's just, it is what it is. Like, I mean, sometimes once people, they get tired of uh, being good all the time and feel like people are taking advantage, and it changes them and makes them become somebody. They become basically uh, who they despise. And I read that before in a book called Maximize Manhood, and it's basically, like I said, is what you despise the most, you can easily become. So, if you're trying to be a good person and you're trying to do the right thing, you don't constantly want to surround yourself by negativity or negative people, because the more you complain and stomp your feet about what they're not doing to become better, or what they're doing negative, you can easily become that if you don't watch yourself. So never try to make it about what the other person is doing that's not so great. Still, as it's easier said than done. I know sometimes in life I felt like I've been, uh, used here and there. And the one thing I used to tell myself is that I was never gonna let what the actions of somebody else change me. And far as like me going from a positive person to a negative person, or a happy person to a mad person, like, because at some point you got to wake up and you have to realize what you're doing to allow people to treat you the way that they treat you. So even in saying that, it's like you have to look at yourself and recognize what what have you done to make people either respect your presence or presence. Like, a lot of that still, rely is heavy on you as a person, because if and saying like, if you come, uh, if you come, and I say this because I mean, uh, I like women. I'm single at the moment, but I like women. I mean, I talk to women. I'm in the pursuit of. So, I'm saying, where like, if you come to a woman as you are, you know, if you don't make a lot of money, if you don't have a lot of things, and you put that on the table, then they have a decision to make if that's who they want. And that's pretty much more like what I'm saying, your presence. Like, because sometimes in that, you're not going to have every single thing to offer, um, extra. And when I say extra, I mean, like, yeah, you may not always be able to buy um, high, designer this and designer that, and all of that. So, but if you, on the other hand, if you come to them and you spending money you don't really have, and you fronting, um, then yeah, they're gonna look for the gifts. They're gonna take the gifts. I mean, who don't? It is some people who don't need gifts or don't want them, but they nice to have. But at the end of the day, how you present yourself to people often opens that lane to how they're going to treat you in return. So, in saying that, it's like, um, that's why I'm saying the ball's in your court sometimes to determine all of that, like how you're going to be treated and how you should be looked at, and what's to be respected, and what's not. So, even like I said, a lot of times we're a reflection of our own mistakes. Is whether what we did or what we failed to do. So can't always blame somebody for not like respecting your presence or looking past your presence, looking for something extra. So, yeah, that's definitely something to think about. And uh, it's we at the end of the day we have control over it, and you just have to live and live and learn, and try not to repeat uh, and make the same errors that you make in doing a lot of different things. So, um, it's like I said, it's the presence aspect of it is people just being there for you, uh, like whether it's a friend to talk to, there's somebody to hear you. Sometimes you just need a hug. Uh, all different types of things. Um, and this, be aware of those who only looking for you to be around for, like I said, to be a benefit. And it happens a lot. Like I said, you don't want to be on the the losing side of it, but just be aware, and you'll be all right. Like I said, I've had my own personal experiences of liking people, calling myself being in love with certain people, and I realized I was putting in more work than they were. So, uh, and I can't fault them. I mean, most of the time when you're dealing with people in any aspect, like I said, it can be business or it can be, the pursuit of a relationship or anything like that. Be straight up and be honest in everything, at the beginning. Because sometimes, now in doing that, you might be honest and everything in the beginning, and they might not. It's happened to me before, just like that. Um, and you can't always make somebody be honest with you. But the best thing you can do just for yourself is to be honest. Like like I said, I had a friend of mine who, um, I had known her for years and liked her, and she, she just wanted to be friends, and I said, "Cool." And then we kept talking and hanging out, and then she was like, "Oh, I want to be more than friends," and I'm like, "Okay." And you sure? And she's like, "Yeah." So, um, yeah, I was being honest. And then months down the road, she wanted to be by herself. So, um, I know things change, but shoot, I mean, when you was being, if you was in my shoes and you being straight up from the beginning, and you, you liked the relationship that you was in, you liked how everything was going, and then boom, it's over because now she want to be by herself, and now she want to do things differently, and you know I can't. I was hurt more than upset. I mean, I think me as I've gotten older, I don't I don't get mad about too much. I might get disappointed more than anything, but I try not to really get mad because I think it's not most time the a lot of things is not even worth it at the end of the day. Getting your blood pressure up and everything else is not even worth it. But it was like I was just hurt. And I guess the one thing I took from that, it was like when somebody, when somebody tell you something in the beginning, listen to that. Like and and pay attention to it. And the reason why I brought that example up is because like uh her presence was everything to me. Like from hearing her to seeing her to being with her, all of that. Like, um, it was great. And I never looked at nothing from the present side of it, because when you're in a situation like that where you're just happy about everything, you want to do things, and if you can do them, you do them. So there was no there was no harm there, but you only start looking at things like that after the fact when your feelings is hurt. But while you're in the midst of all of it, it was all good. So those are just a few examples that I have for those particular areas. Like I'm saying, your presence or presence. Um, also on the other side of things is like I've been in situations where I know I knew what it was from the beginning. I knew that it wasn't really about anything. So any money spent was lost. So yeah, it was like I knew I wasn't getting taken advantage of because I knew what it was, and I can respect that. That at the end of the day, and because it was my choice. So and I say that because I want complete transparency with the topic, because I'm not. I think because when you don't have that, it becomes like it's like bashing. I think, I mean, everybody's pretty much uh, you can be you can be a good person, but don't. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I've been good all the time. Like I've played I played a part in some of my errors in life, so I'll never sit and make it seem like um, I hadn't. Like, I mean, so like I said, there's been times where like I've done and did things, and um, and I may have took advantage of some things from time to time. I mean, that's like I say, it's a part of life. I mean, you don't. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a thing. It's just growing and learning a lot. Like, I mean, like I tell people all the time, yeah, I'm OG King Kurt now, but 20 years ago I wasn't. I wasn't OG King Kurt. I was, I was a young Ivan Curtis. Like, so, um, I've learned a lot, over the years, where I try to make minimal mistakes, and it's not about getting over or trying to out slick or anything like that. So, definitely, uh, like I say, you live and learn, and you improve upon that. Something that I wanted to talk about. Um, this the month of May, Mental Health Awareness Month. It's a lot going on in the world today. It's with everybody dealing with the pandemic, a lot of people have lost their jobs. Not really, not knowing, having to rely on government resources, and maybe a lot of people are not typically used to doing that, and uh, you know everybody's quote unquote uh, normality has been put on pause, or we going through different obstacles right now. So in saying that, it's like thinking of mental health, and it's going mental health refers to our cognitive, behavioral, and emotional well-being. It is all about how we think and feel and behave. The term mental health is sometimes used to mean an absence of a mental disorder. Mental health can affect daily life, relationships, and even physical health. Now, in saying that, it's part of like like I said, with everything going on, everybody's mental health is being challenged because we're doing things in a different manner that a lot of us are not used to, and and it's tough. Like, I mean, for me personally, working from home sounds great, and it is great from time to time. But when it's the only thing that you're pretty much doing, it can play with your mental. I mean, I'm pretty much here. I'm away from my brother, my nieces, nephews, my kids, my sons, and my daughters, and not knowing probably when the next time I'm gonna see them in a where things are operating, you know maybe as close to what they were before all of this, because I think now everybody's thinking about the new normal. I mean, it's so like in thinking in terms like that and not being able to see those faces that I'm used to seeing, even though I'm in New York, I still would go home. I probably would have been home once by now to visit. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely been tough on me. FaceTime is cool, texting is cool, but it's nothing like the real thing. Uh, I'm just saying for everybody out there that I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody at least has somebody checking on them, calling them, texting them, see how they doing, trying to put a smile on people's face. If it's somebody out there that you haven't talked to in a while, or maybe if you had some differences or anything like that, try to reconcile and be there for one another, because this is truly a time that we all need each other. And um, I think it's important. Like I said, when sometimes um, when people, I know a lot of people get their own misunderstandings in talking about mental health, and not really thinking that uh, you don't have to be diagnosed with anything or anything like that to be struggling with your mental health. As I read what it was, that refers to all of us. Um, there's just things will challenge you, and it will can put you in all types of different mental states. So right now, I just like I said, I just wanted to say to everybody, just check on your neighbor, check on your family, make sure you're taking care of yourself physically as well. I mean, whether that's from making sure you're hydrated, or eating, properly as much as you can, because it's less activity for some people, not being able to go about and move as freely as we once did. So uh, just think about somebody besides yourself, but excuse me, just make sure you're taking care of yourself. Another thing is, like I said, with it being May, is that it's mental awareness month, and every year the goal is to fight stigma, provide support, educate the public, and advocate for policies that support people with mental illness and their families. It also aims to draw attention to suicide, which can be precipitated by some mental illnesses. And, just all of that. I think the green ribbon represents mental health as well. So if you start seeing that around this time, you'll have an idea of what's going on and what it represents. But that pretty much covers this episode. And say episode 13, your presence or presence. It's basically where you stand in someone's life or a particular situation. And I just gave a few examples for me. I hope I've shed some light on that particular topic, and you can get some things from it. And definitely Mental Health Awareness Month. Like I said, I'll probably be saying something here or there to keep that going all through the month of May and beyond, because it's important. I think as we try to get through this pandemic, it's definitely going to be important for everybody. I want to say thanks to everybody who tuned in for this episode. Like I said, I always appreciate it. The support has been great. I do understand this is never a personal attack to anybody. It's my personal thoughts and experiences in life or those around me. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at OG King Kurt. That is Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, the OG 2 Cents podcast is on Apple, Spotify, and Tumblr, LinkedIn, and Podbean. Make sure you visit www.ogkingkurt.com. Basically, a one-stop shop for everything OG King Kurt and the OG 2 Cents podcast. Also, I want to give a shout out to Dave at the 2K Zone, Schreider Visuals, and Box Graphics. Make sure you follow them on Twitter as well. It's at Dave_2K Zone. And it's at Strider, STRIDER, Visuals, VISUALS. And Box Graphics, BOXGRAPHICS. Make sure you follow them on Twitter. Check out the 2K Zone on Podbean at 2kzone.podbean.com. Once again, make sure you can catch me on Esports Extra Sundays from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on Wednesdays and Thursdays, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week's episode 14, The Good, Bad, and Ugly. This episode is about the pros and cons of social media with Weil and Cooney from the Brooklyn Nets and Nets GC. So make sure you tune in to that. And remember, if it makes sense, it's probably an OG 2 Cents. OG out.
Put this work in, fellas. And much, much, much love to the entire 2K community for always showing me love. Without y'all, we wouldn't be here. Yard.